Hey, what's up, everyone? First off, the headline for a lot of you will be the arrival of New Game Plus, which the developers actually added with this update. It's the sort of welcome quality of life edition that extends replay value without needing any DLC, and it arrived as part of the package of fixes and polish rolled into these patches. Beyond the big feature, a large chunk of the work here went into visual fixes that are especially noticeable if you've been poking around the Ryukyu waterfront areas. There were improvements to how water surfaces render, and specific lighting issues around the Kubochi River that should eliminate a handful of immersion-breaking glitches where reflections or brightness looked off, and those changes were bundled into auditor presentation touch-ups for downtown Ryukyu, so scenes read better overall. If you play with higher graphics settings or on PC, you should notice cleaner reflections and fewer odd lighting pops in those zones. On the technical side, the studio fixed an issue where color shifting would occur when FSR3 frame generation was enabled, which is an important one for folks running AMD upscaling tech or similar frame generation setups. Color shifts during frame generation can make motion feel off or cause skin tones and lighting to look unnatural. So having that specific regression addressed right away is a win, especially for streamers and anyone recording footage. It means captures will look truer to the original intent instead of showing those weird hues. The patch notes call this one out directly, so if you ever toggled FSR3 and thought, that looks different, that was likely the culprit. There are also a number of localization fixes and a variety of stability and gameplay bug fixes, which is the sort of behind-the-scenes housekeeping that tends to make playthroughs smoother, even if it's not headline-grabbing. Localization fixes mean text and subtitles should be clearer in places where translations were awkward or lines didn't match motion perfectly. And the assorted bug fixes aim to prevent crashes or progression stalls. Basically, the invisible work that fewer bugs means fewer "I'm stuck" moments for your audience. Patch 1.12 focuses more on visual and expression polish across Kamurocho and related districts, along with fixes and improvements to certain minigames. If you enjoyed the small diversions, the arcade bits, side activities, or minigame encounters, the intent here is to tighten visual fidelity and character expressions so the little side scenes pop emotionally and don't feel rough around the edges. The studio indicated that these expression tweaks were applied broadly, which should help cutscenes and incidental NPC reactions read better and feel more consistent with the remade assets. It's worth noting platform rollout differences. The studio flagged that timing for 1.12 can vary by platform, and that some systems, notably the Nintendo Switch 2 and potentially other console builds, might receive that particular patch on a different cadence than the PC and current-gen console releases. So if you or someone watching you plays on Switch 2 and doesn't see the update immediately, it's not you, it's the staggered deployment. That sort of stagger is common with multi-platform launches where store certification and vendor pipelines differ. For PC players especially, there's additional context. Alongside these fixes, the game launched with modern upscaling support and next-gen frame tech on some platforms, including NVIDIA's latest frame generation tooling supported on compatible hardware. That plays into the earlier FSR3 fix and highlights the team's attention to making sure these systems don't introduce visual problems when they're enabled, which has been an increasing focus across new releases that ship with multiple upscaling and frame generation options. If you're configuring settings for performance captures, it's a good reminder to double-check frame generation toggles after patching. If we talk about what this means for someone making content, there are a few practical takeaways. New Game Plus gives creators a reason to return to the game with new goals and alternate builds, and it's prime material for second-run guides, showcases of alternate styles, or challenge-run videos. Visual and expression polish makes cutscenes and character moments cleaner on camera, which will help narrative edits and highlights hold up better in videos. And fixes to localization reduce the chance of awkward subtitle screenshots or misread lines during clip compilations. The FSR3 color fix reduces the risk of having to re-render footage because of wonky colors when using frame generation, a very practical time saver. I also want to mention the communication side. Both the official publisher posts and community channels reflected the notes, which suggests the studio prioritized transparency for launch day fixes and made the major items visible in their release messaging. When a studio publishes clear patch notes up front, it helps content creators plan what to test and where to look. Whether you're checking water rendering in Ryukyu, confirming that New Game Plus carries over gear and progress in the way you expect, or looking for any lingering visual oddities that slip through. A casual, practical checklist for your first play after patching would be to load a save in an area that previously showed the water and lighting problem, flip FSR3 or your preferred upscaling and frame generator on and off to see color stability, test a minigame or two to check for any minifix ripple effects, And if you're a streamer or editor, run a short capture to verify colors and expressions feel correct on recording. The devs left enough detail in the notes to point you where to look without overpromising on specifics, so those spot checks will confirm the fixes for your own content. All in all, this pair of patches is classic launch housekeeping with a pleasant surprise in New Game Plus and some meaningful fixes for graphics and localization that improve both play and capture quality. It's the kind of update that quietly raises the baseline experience. Fewer visual hiccups, more smoothness in dialogue and expression, and a small but meaningful new mode to extend the game's lifespan. If you haven't patched yet, the notes from the publisher and community pages list everything in one place. So check the patch notes on your platform store or the official post to confirm you're on the same build. That's the full breakdown. The changes are practical and creator-friendly, and they set a good foundation for both fresh playthroughs and polished highlight reels without introducing new complexity.